what if Adam and Eve never ate the forbidden fruit? No sin, no pain, no death. The world would still be perfect. The Garden of Eden, untouched, unbroken, eternal. The air would carry the scent of peace. The rivers would dance like silver. The trees would bend low, heavy with fruit. And every creature would live in harmony. There would be no hunger, no storms, no betrayal. Only laughter, only light, only love. And in the cool of the evening, Adam and Eve would still walk with God, face to face. No fear, no shame, just closeness. Sounds perfect, right? A paradise that never ends, a life that never breaks. But what if that perfection became a prison? Because in a world without sin, there's no pain, but also no progress. No fear, but also no courage. No loss, but also no need for hope. If Adam and Eve never ate the fruit, they'd live forever, but they'd never grow. They'd never understand mercy, never feel forgiveness, never fall and rise again. They'd be flawless, yes, but their hearts would never burn. Their tears would never fall. Their faith would never be born. Because faith only exists in the dark, and courage only comes when you're afraid. Maybe over time, even the garden would start to feel small, because the soul of man, it wasn't built for cages, even golden ones. We were made for stories, not statues, for choices, not control, for redemption, not routine. And maybe one day, Adam would look toward the horizon, beyond the trees, beyond the rivers, and wonder, what's out there? Maybe Eve would feel it too. A quiet longing in her heart she couldn't name, a whisper that said there's more. Not more food, not more beauty, but more meaning. Because perfection without purpose is just another kind of emptiness. If they never tasted the fruit, they would never know the weight of choice. They would never know what it means to choose love when love costs something. And maybe, just maybe, God knew that. Maybe he knew that love isn't truly love until it's tested. That obedience isn't real until it costs something. And that the garden, as perfect as it was never meant to be the end of the story. If Adam and Eve never ate the fruit, they'd live in peace. But would they really live? A world with no tears, no trials, no tests, might sound like heaven, but maybe it would only be silence. Because without storms, you never learn how to stand. Without fire, you never learn how to shine. So maybe the forbidden fruit wasn't the end of perfection. It was the beginning of purpose. Maybe God wasn't caught off guard that day. Maybe he allowed it, not because he wanted them to fall, but because he wanted them to rise.
If Adam and Eve never ate the forbidden fruit, the garden would still be alive today. The rivers would still sparkle. The trees would still sing. The air would still smell like peace. No pain, no tears, no death. Just perfection. But what if perfection was never the point? Because peace without purpose is just silence with pretty colors. And a life without choice isn't life at all. It's a cage made of comfort. They would wake every morning, see the same sunrise, hear the same birds, walk the same paths. No storms, no hunger, no fear. But also, no growth, no reason to change, no reason to seek. Because how can you find God when you've never lost him? And maybe that's the hidden truth. Maybe God didn't just want obedience. He wanted love, real love. And love only exists when you can choose not to love. The serpent's whisper didn't surprise God. He knew it was coming. He knew Eve's curiosity. He knew Adam's silence. He knew that one day, the perfect world he made would break, so that something deeper could be born. You see, Eden was never meant to last forever. It was a beginning, not a destination, a chapter, not the whole story. When Eve reached for the fruit, heaven held its breath. The sound of her heartbeat echoed like thunder. She bit, and everything changed. But the moment man fell, God didn't run away. He ran toward them. He didn't destroy them. He clothed them. He didn't erase them. He promised them. A promise that one day someone would come to crush the serpent's head and bring them home again. So maybe the fall wasn't the tragedy we think it was. Maybe it was the turning point, the moment when grace stepped onto the stage. Because without that fall, there would be no cross, no redemption, no reason for God to prove his love. Without that fruit, we'd never know the taste of forgiveness. Without that mistake, we'd never know the meaning of mercy. Imagine a world where Adam and Eve never disobeyed. No pain, no sin, but also no Jesus, no manger, no sacrifice, no story of a Savior who bled for love. A perfect world without pain would also be a world without purpose, because pain teaches what comfort forgets. It sharpens love. It builds faith. It turns belief into fire. When they left Eden, God didn't slam the gate shut in anger. He placed an angel there, not to punish them, but to protect the promise. Because he knew, one day, the gate would open again. And it did. At Calvary. That's the beauty of it. The story didn't end with banishment. It ended with redemption. Eden was lost, but heaven was gained. Sometimes what looks like the end is just the beginning. And maybe that's the point of it all. God didn't create us to stay safe. He created us to choose him freely, even when it hurts. Love that costs nothing isn't love. It's control. And God doesn't control, he calls. So if Adam and Eve never ate that fruit, we'd all still be in a beautiful cage. Perfect, but empty. Peaceful, but purposeless. Because sometimes the fall isn't failure. It's the first step toward freedom. And maybe the forbidden fruit wasn't the end of God's plan. Maybe it was the moment his plan truly began. Because even when humanity chose wrong, God still chose us. If this story opened your eyes, remember this. Eden was lost, but heaven was gained. Sometimes, what looks like the end is just the beginning.